Hey up, it's Stephen, old Yorkshire geek, and a bit of, can't say Star Trek news, just a Star Trek article for us to look at from Screen Rant. It just caught my eye. It's about Star Trek Voyager. But before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. Many links in the description about Facebook and X and Instagram and me books and merch and other places to see what I do and all that jazz. Patreon, and throw some super thanks my way. Anyway, this article is about Star Trek Voyager doing similar themed episodes, but I suppose that could be said for many series, not just Star Trek. But anyway, here we go, let's have a look. Here it is, Screen Rant. 2 Star Trek Voyager episodes shared the exact same premise and aired less than 3 years apart, says Dana Hansen. Despite usually coming up with unique premises, Star Trek Voyager decided to copy itself with 2 episodes from seasons 5 and 7. Voyager season 5 was one of the show's best, featuring more good episodes than bad, unlike some of the seasons that had come before it, but not season 4, which in my opinion was the best season of Voyager. But anyway, Voyager's cast of characters had also reached its peak with the inclusion of 7 of 9 Jerry Ryan the season before, and was able to begin turning around great performances every time. Excuse me, need a sip of cold coffee. This was first demonstrated in the season premiere episode Night, which set the tone for season 5 as a whole. By the way, the 2 episodes talking about, I do get them mixed up, I must admit. The plot of Night focused on the USS Voyager travelling through a region of space completely devoid of stars and planets. The episode, so I don't understand how this works, these voids. I know you can have voids, but when you're in the void, is it a void? I don't know. I know you can have dark nebulas. When you see a void in space, when it's within a galaxy, it's generally there's something blocking out the stars behind, such as the coal sack. You've got the coal sack, which is basically a dusty black nebula, and it's just blocking the stars behind. But once you get up close to it, would it still look like that? It just looks black and it's blocking out because we're seeing it from a long way away, thousands of light years. When you get up close, would it be that? Would it become more translucent? I don't know. I'm not an expert. But anyway, region of space completely devoid of stars and planets. The episode picked up after the crew had already been making their way through the void for 2 months. Rather than begin with action, Night chose to devote its first half to examining the complex psychological and emotional effects the isolation was having on Captain Janeway, Cable crew, and Voyager's crew. If I remember correctly, she basically shut away in a cabin, didn't she? Because there was nothing for them to do. The ship was just on its way. Because there was nothing to explore or look at, and so she basically shut herself away in the cabin, which Chakotay kept, pointing out to her that the crew needs to see the captain to keep morale up and all that stuff, but she was like, Sodom. Anyway, Night was a wonderful way to kick off season 5, but unfortunately it didn't end up being the only Voyager episode with the same premise. Here we go. Voyager season 7 episode The Void had an extremely similar premise to Night, so much so that it's entirely too easy to mix both episodes up, or mix up both episodes. As the name indicates, the Void also dealt with the USS Voyager becoming trapped in a region of space without any stars or planets. But that were kind of, I don't know, it were like, it wasn't just a void of like in a dark nebula or whatever, where the outside universe were just blotted out because of the, the dust or whatever. This were kind of, I don't know, it were like a subspace realm or something like that they got pulled into, didn't want it? It was like a pocket universe, so to speak. But anyway, in the Voyager season 7 episode's case, the ship was pulled into the region rather than choosing to travel through it. But the area they occupied in both episodes was remarkably similar in makeup, both seemingly devoid of any native matter or inhabitants. Likewise, both Night and the Void featured Voyager's crew learning that a native species did in fact occupy the region of space they were in, and that species ended up being the key to their escape. Again, the 2 species were slightly different, but both were considered vermin or pests by other aliens Voyager encountered. I'm getting mixed up. I think the Void is the one with these in it, that the other people that are in the void. It's a bit like the Delphic Expanse in Enterprise, where once you're in, you end up turning on everybody inside, the expanse or the void in this case, and basically fighting for survival and becoming like pirates of it, essentially. But these aliens here basically ended up on all these different ships and they were treated as vermin and stuff, but they ended up helping Voyager. But in Night, is that the one where we encountered the Malon? Is it Malon? The ones, the polluting aliens? Is that one? I could be wrong, I don't know, but anyway, I'm getting mixed up. Where were we now? There we go. I start again. Again, the two species were slightly different, but both were considered vermin or pests by other aliens Voyager encountered, and the crew ended up helping both sets of aliens when no one else would. With all the similarities, it would be easy to think that The Void was just as good an episode as Night. Unfortunately, this did not end up being the case. I like both episodes. Anyway. And there was also another episode, wasn't there, which... But that wasn't A Void, though. I remember the one where they had to put the crew into like stasis, or to put them to sleep, or across this area of space, because if they were awake, they'd die, or something like that. And 7 of 9 were the only one who could look after them all, while the Voyager took these so many weeks to cross this. And we saw how it affected her psychologically. That's not a similar episode, although I don't think it was A Void that they were crossing. It was just a dangerous region of space. Overall, Night holds up better than The Void in retrospect. One of the main reasons is that Night came first, airing in Season 5, while The Void aired in Season 7. This makes it hard not to view The Void as a take-off, rip-off, whatever, of Night instead of the other way around. Pardon me. It's hard to believe that Voyager's creative team wasn't inspired by Night when writing The Void. I'm sure it was mentioned. And any reused story ideas are watered down when compared to the original. The best thing about Night, however, was its wonderfully complex exploration of Voyager's characters and relationships. I think Dana is a fan of Night, do you? Night provided an interesting psychological look at almost every main character and even demonstrated how far the crew had come in their relationships with each other. The exploration of Captain Janeway's depression and guilt over stranding everyone in the Delta Quadrant was truly riveting, and watching the crew rally to stop Janeway when she attempted a would-be suicide mission to save the ship was arguably one of the most heartbreaking scenes during Voyager's run. In contrast, The Void abandoned an even remotely emotional angle in favour of more sci-fi lean and action sequences, which is fine. If they just did exactly the same thing again, you'd be moaning, wouldn't you? Dana, while the similarities... Sorry, I thought I saw Kez for some reason in that image, but no. It was probably 7 of 9 there. While the similarities between Night and Void lessen both episodes' impact, they aren't the worst example of Voyager copying itself in a boring way. Perhaps the most egregious example of this is the Season 4 episode Random Thoughts, which mashed up the premises of 2 previous episodes terribly. Random Thoughts copied elements of both Meld and Ex Post Facto, 2 episodes that were much better on their own, but when smashed together, created an utterly forgettable episode that added very little to Season 4. You know what, I can't remember it, so it can't have been that good. I do like Meld, though. Meld is a good episode. Oh, here we go. Note. Meld is one of Voyager's creepiest episodes, featuring Star Trek's first and only instance of a serial killer. Really? I don't think so. Who was also a member of Starfleet. Wasn't there that episode in TNG? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Granted, Lon Suda, Brad Dourif, was a former Maquis, but his inclusion in the episode elevated the premise and created one of the most interesting recurring storylines of Season 2. He saved the ship by the end of Season 2, the beginning of Season 3. Outside of its own episodes, Voyager was even known to copy other series in the Star Trek franchise. The Season 1 Voyager episode Jetrel, for example, was a much worse remake of one of Star Trek Deep Space Nine's best episodes, Duet. It's just... No, don't go there, don't go there. It's a good episode, is Jetrel. Voyager bungled Duet's premise by making it about Neelix. obviously he's not a Neelix fan, Ethan Phillips, and not nailing the emotional beats of the story in the same way that DS9 had with Major Kira Nerys, Nana Visitor. Well, what would you do then? You can't just have another Cardassian appear and have one, say, have a Maquis, because I don't know, it was, but even then, you couldn't have a Bajoran. I mean, are there other Bajorans? Are there other Bajorans in the Maquis crew apart from I've got a name now. What's her face? Who ended up being a Cardassian herself? Mine's blanking. I'll stick it there. Seska. There we go. Seska. Were there any other Bajorans apart from Seska in the Maquis crew? I think there were, weren't there? I'm sure I remember. At least one or two. So if they just had one of them and then a Cardassian popping up out of nowhere, it'd have just been exactly the same as Duet. So at least they made it different with Neelix and Jitrell, who did the Metreon Cascade, basically wiping out thousands of people on one of the moons of Neelix's home planet. I bloody forgot. Talaxia, I don't know what to call it. Anyway, when Star Trek Voyager created unique episodes, it usually did well, but trying to copy itself or other series almost always ended up cheapening one or both. Oh, that's it. Don't agree. Particularly with Jitrell. I thought that was a good episode. And it was a good Neelix episode, because it gave us some backstory about him. And his guilt. He basically had survivor's guilt about what happened in that, because he wasn't there when it happened. And his whole family were wiped out. So he had survivor's guilt about that. It was a good episode with that. And Night and Void are both good episodes. There was an episode. There's one of those with the male on it. I'm going to have to look it up. But I will, and I'll tell you there if it is the one with the male on it. Or I'll tell you the one, because there is an episode with the male on it where they're dumping their, toxic waste in one of these areas. So it's either Night or the Void. It's not the Void, I don't think, because in the Void they end up fighting each other, all these alien species, and Janeway basically sets up her own little federation of starships. But anyway, so there we go. So interesting article, but I don't entirely agree. Oh, we've got some pictures to look at. There's Janeway and Chakotay. What's up with his? Oh, he's got his flashlights on his strapped to his wrist. Looks like he's playing the din 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 din, doesn't he? There's 7 of 9. Looking up at Janeway. Looks like they're in astrometrics there. It's probably Chakotay saying, "Get out and see your crew." She's saying, "Bugger off." There are the crew saying, "We're with you, Captain." And she's going to tear up in a minute. Anyway, there we go. There we go. Yeah, both good episodes. It's fine. It's fine when you get similar episodes in long series that go on for season after season. You're bound to get similar episodes. There's an old saying, there's only, is it 8? Something like that. 8 distinct storylines in fiction, and everything else is just variations on the theme. It's basically what it is, isn't it? So you're bound to get similar episodes. They can't have something original and novel. All, for when you've got like hundreds of episodes, you're bound to get a bit of repetition. But anyway, so there we go. I mean, it wasn't even the same. They were similar in that they were in a void with no other stars, but there were different sorts of voids. So in that, there were differences. I'm rambling again. Anyway, we'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that little article. Again, don't forget, like and subscribe and share the videos and all that stuff. So we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching, wherever you are. Look after each other, and until next time, I'll see you there.